Today we're talking again about shutting your big fat mouth, and I'm joined in the studio by some very slender and small mouths. So thank you for joining us today. And today we're talking about gossip and how to stop doing it. We're gonna end up giving people 3 steps for stopping it. But before we do, any personal experiences with gossip here at the table?
My theory is that I'm just going to fly under the radar and make sure nobody has anything to say about me, good or bad.
Yeah.
It's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that's good. Well, in high school in particular, what percentage of people would you say gossip?
Oh, like 98?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What percentage of women would you say gossip, Tracy?
98.
Wow. Ross, what percentage of men would you say?
Men are horrible gossips. They don't admit it.
Yeah.
But
It's sly.
they will talk about other
So
people
too.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the question then is why, before we get to some practical tips, why do people gossip? Why do you think people gossip?
I think some people do it just because it's easy to talk about, and when, maybe there's an awkward silence or they don't really have any more questions to ask, they can just be like, oh, did you hear about so-and-so?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of an easy way to make a conversation less awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to deflect. I know for me,
Right.
as I think about it, is if I want to get talking about something that's not about me, it's tempting to maybe point it at someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've always felt like if I'm the one who has the dirt, then that invests me with significance because I'm on the inside.
Right.
I have this secret knowledge that nobody else has, and
Yeah.
gives me like a little bit of power.
Right.
Yeah.
And for women, I think gossip is a way of trying to feel connected, not in a real way, but feel connected,
Yeah.
bond with someone over somebody else's failings or annoyances.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Bible actually says gossip's a sin, that it's not just a simple little innocent little pleasure, that it's actually a sin. So I think that's why we're talking about this. So before we get into some practical tips, answer this for the viewers. Who does gossip hurt? Because if sin is usually about it hurts somebody, right? Because we're supposed to love other people. That's what Jesus said, love the Lord your God, love your neighbor as yourself. So gossip really, in essence, hurts people. So who does gossip hurt? Why is it a sin?
Well, I mean, the obvious point is when you are on the receiving end of someone's gossip and you hear that someone's been saying things about you, that's extremely hurtful.
Yeah.
So whatever the focus of the gossip is, that person
Yeah.
is definitely injured by those words.
Yep.
Yeah, and it also hurts. This is not as intuitive, but it hurts the person who's hearing it because it could damage a relationship that person has with the person being gossiped about. And you drag
That's
them
true.
into that sort of cesspool of negative talk.
Yeah, that's good. So there's 2. There's a third one. Who else does a gossip hurt?
Well, it hurts the person who's doing the gossiping.
Yeah.
It's not the best reputation to have, to be like the person that dishes out all the dirt.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or you're just not a trustworthy person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so gossip is a 3-for-1 sin, really, if you think about it. It doesn't just hurt the person you're gossiping about, it hurts the person you're talking to, you're dragging them into sin. And then it hurts the gossip. It sort of poisons your own heart. So that's why to stop doing it. So let's get to it then. So we got 3 steps, and this is for everyone who's watching, because everyone, there's only 2% of you students who don't do it, 2% of the women. It's probably 100%. This is for everybody, 3 steps to stop gossiping. Okay, I'm going to walk us through it. You guys explain it. The first one is this: guard your ears. Step number 1, guard your ears. Somebody explain that.
Well, that's when you're the person who is receiving the gossip, then you can stop it by refusing to listen.
Yeah. There's a great tip. We just heard this. Is you could, when somebody's gossiping, you could say, just kind of stop them and say, "Why are you telling me this?" Have you ever tried anything like that before?
Why are you telling?
No.
That feels a little awkward.
It does.
But if you could be maybe gentle about it, or
Yeah.
kind of transparent about it.
Yeah, maybe a gentler way that I've tried before is just, hey, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with the direction of this conversation, and I want to be respectful of all parties involved, and they're not here to defend themselves or whatever. But
Yeah.
I even think something that I've done that's worked for me is complimenting that person that's being gossiped about. I found that if somebody's saying something bad and you're like, oh, well, they're really good at this, then that normally shuts the person down because they're like, oh.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's really good, because if you buy in and you dish on that person, then that just makes it get momentum. But you stop the momentum with a different direction.
That's
I like
good.
that.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe a little bit better than why are you telling me? All right, so that's step number 1. Step number 2, I love this one, is just shut your big fat mouth. Shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Right? So Proverbs 21:23 says, watch your tongue, keep your mouth shut, and you'll stay out of trouble. Now that's not just talking about gossip, but I think it definitely applies to gossip. So here's my question. When and where does gossip tend to happen so that we can be aware of it and shut our mouths in those situations? Kenzie, for students, how do you think a student would answer that?
I think gossip happens everywhere. I mean, in the hallways, you have such a short time between classes, and yet you can still say so much.
Yeah.
Or, at lunch, or like hanging out on a Friday night with your friends,
Yep.
just anywhere.
Yeah. So just shut your mouth.
Yep.
And I know you're an introvert, so it's easy for you to shut your mouth. But for some people, especially I think for people who love to talk, in fact, there's another proverb about that. It says, if you love to talk, you better watch out. So this is a great example where you really have to, I think, shut your mouth and make a conscious decision not to gossip.
Yeah.
Tracy, for women, where's another place that gossip can tend to happen?
Well, I mean, going to lunch, sharing a meal with a friend, meeting for coffee, and you just start talking, and then lo and behold, it'll lend itself to that. Or sometimes in like a mentoring relationship, or even in a small group setting, even where it's supposed to be safe, someone can bring gossip into that.
Yeah, we laugh a little bit about it, but sometimes prayer meetings are a great place for gossip. You pray to God for somebody, and it's really just a form of gossip.
It's true.
Yeah, you're in the know.
Yeah.
And I think it happens at home also as a place, a time and place, where between a couple, a husband and wife, it's easy to get into,
That's true.
how did your day go?
Right.
And that devolves into all these people at work and what their problems are, people at church, and then our kids hear that.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, so there's one more step. Step number 3, and Pastor Ross, you're going to have to help us with this one. But really, to finish the job, it's not enough just to guard your ears and shut your mouth. You really have to open your heart. What are we talking about with this step?
Yeah, the point is that there's reasons why we gossip. We talked about that earlier. There's some heart deficit a lot of time that we want to be significant, we want to be important, we want to elevate ourselves with respect to others. And so we're going to the wrong place to get that. When we gossip, we're going to, a negative, to a sin, to try to fill that heart void. And so what we're saying is that really those heart needs that drive gossip can be met in relationship with God through Jesus Christ. We go to Jesus and let Him give us our significance and let Him give us, a sense of our worth and importance.